Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Arie Scherson podcast. In this one, I have a very interesting guest. His name is Leo Iciano, and he's been able to achieve over $3 million per month with Shopify Dropshipping, which is an incredible feat. And I went very deep with him. Like, we talked about strategy, we talked about so many things that are incredibly valuable. I genuinely think this interview was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars if you add up how many people are going to get so much impact from it. So without further ado, I'll show you, but just a warning, I did mess up my audio a little bit and I didn't want to redo it. We will do a new interview in the future, but yeah, my audio sounds a little bit goofy, but the good thing is that, I shut my mouth for the majority of this interview, so you won't have to worry about that too much. But without further ado, let's get right into it. I mean, usually how these go is I have some questions for you, but it'll be pretty chill. Like, I just want to, get to know you since we've never really connected outside of this. To me, this is like an excuse to connect, and we can amplify it with, my channel and content. So, yeah, man, it's great to have you. So for everybody watching right now, this is Leo Iciano. Is that how you say your last name?
Yep, correct.
Okay, cool. Man, this guy's been crushing it with dropshipping for a long time. I think from what I've seen so far, I think you're probably one of the top e-commerce guys in the whole space that's actually sharing actionable advice. So I'm super hyped to get you on here and ask you some questions that'll hopefully really help the community.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and I'm honored to be here. So, yeah, I definitely want to give out as much value as possible, and I'm excited.
Amazing. Okay, so where I'd love to start is, people will probably see a big number in the title, so they'll understand you're very successful. But I want to connect the dots to, where you are now and how you got there. So I want to ask you before ecom, because I'm sure you didn't always participate in the ecom game. What was life like before ecom? What was the journey that led you to ecom?
Gotcha. So, humble beginnings, parents were, just trying to make it through in life. I was also trying to make it through in life. So, we only knew the typical route, which was to be successful, you either become an athlete or you go to college and you pursue a career. And that was pretty much what my life was meant to be or aligned with. And I started flipping shoes in high school, so that started the entrepreneurial spirit. And then in college, that's when I got into like a real entrepreneur and the online business. I fell in love with e-commerce and dropshipping because like I was already flipping shoes in high school, but then I heard about online money and online money making stuff in college, and that's when everything just kind of like spiraled into drop shipping, e-commerce, and then just making money online. Right. So,
Wow.
but yeah, super, super humble beginnings. It's been a long journey. Been doing e-commerce for 6 years now.
Really?
And yeah, I'm really grateful to be here.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 26.
26. Wow. So that's funny. That's kind of around the time that I figured out e-commerce a little bit too. And I was flipping stuff on eBay before. So that's a really interesting commonality. Now, when you got into e-com, I'm sure it wasn't just like boom, right away you popped off. So I want to know, like, what was that breakthrough moment since you began that actually where you were like, oh, okay, now I get it, and it actually started to pop off.
Yeah. So as any e-com entrepreneur's breakthrough moment is just getting sales, right? So that was like the first breakthrough moment, which was like I was still working at my 9 to 5. I was working at Metro PCS actually selling iPhones and Samsungs all day. And as I was scanning like a phone, like midway through the scan, I got my first cha-ching. And that was like life changing. I was like, oh, well, doesn't look like I'm going to have to be working for long. I was wrong because there was a long and bumpy road ahead of me. But that was my first breakthrough moment when I first started getting sales and started making content. But after that was just testing products. Like we've tested over 200 products. So at one point something just has to give, you know.
200
So
products? That's insane, man. Like, I feel like
yeah,
most people don't go through that many products.
100%. A lot of people, they might test like one or two and they might see some success, But luckily for me, I always describe it as luck because I didn't have that massive success early on. I tested a lot of products and I went through a lot of failures before finding a really great winning product. And that allowed me to build that, like tolerance of just like, hey, I got to keep going. And once that product really hit, I was just like, okay, this is what I've been working for.
Damn, that's a powerful mindset shift, bro. Of like seeing that actually as a positive, that it didn't happen so fast. I could see that. I feel like a lot of people that had success fast are no longer around even. So that was probably a blessing in disguise.
100%. I am so grateful for that. People are like, like, oh, like I found my first product my first year and crushed my first $100,000 month. I'm like, that wasn't like that for me. I lost a lot of money. I was actually in debt 2 years in. So 2 years in, I was in a worse position than when I first started.
Like money wise. But so how long did that take? What was that journey like in terms of actual time?
Right. So, when like I still made sales, right? When I first started drop shipping, I still made sales. I still made a little bit of revenue, but to actually get that profitable state flowing where, I could say I don't have to work or I don't have to do anything, it took 2 years to make an actual profit to increase my bank account. Because every single time I was just going through challenges and I was going through mistakes. Like I would test products and I would lose all my money the next month because I wouldn't find another product and I didn't actually understand the skill set that it took to find longevity within products as well. So
That's really interesting. So, what would you say then is like one of the biggest mistakes you were making at the time, and maybe how does that differ from the mistakes you see people making now? Like, is it kind of the same things?
yeah, yeah, it's this pump and dump stereotypical thing going on in the dropshipping world. Whereas like you find a very, very trending product and you just pump it and then it's time to dump it and then it's time to move on. And I caught myself in this cycle where I was just like finding products, testing them, and then making one piece of content, scaling them up, and then that's it. Like they would die. And I also thought products died. That was like a big limiting belief. I was like, oh, products, like 100 people purchased today, like that's probably the max. Um, so I caught myself in that cycle, and once I got out of that cycle of like products don't die, and you can really reinvent the product, make it better, reinvent the customer experience. That's when I was like, man, this is time to take off. I can finally stick to one product.
Dang, that's a so the customer experience and actually like reinventing the product. I love that because I've seen that happen so many times where like a product I saw like 6 years ago that everybody thought was saturated and dead, I see it popping off on TikTok now because it was like, bundled or like made into something a little bit different, or just the content is a lot better and the branding's better. So I think that's actually really powerful advice. You know, did that take you basically 200 products to learn that? That's crazy.
Yeah, and I was hard headed. Yeah. Yeah, it's also not even that the products die, it's just that the solution, like the problem still needs a solution, right? Like if people have, if people don't have hair, right? Like I'll give that example. They still need the solution to grow hair, or they still need the solution to get like recover their hair. So it's like the products for that niche or for that problem don't die, they just evolve. So like what we were selling in 2017 might be different than what we're selling in 2024, but it's ultimately still the same solution. It's still
Right.
like you're still solving the same problem.
Damn, that's powerful, bro. Because then, yeah, like you said, the problem is it's probably even only growing actually for the majority of these things, right? Because more people are hopping online, more people are becoming aware that maybe they have this problem, or and then if you provide a solution, I mean, it's really that simple to if you really think about it. But people are so stuck, like you said, in this like trending product mindset. Like they just focus on the trendiness of the product as opposed to like what is it actually solving. That's
Hmm.
powerful. So let me
Yeah.
ask you this now because I know that you probably see like so many different brands and people that are trying to succeed and people who have achieved success. So I'm curious, in your eyes, what's a common trait that you see amongst these successful brand owners specifically?
Okay, so the first one is that they went all in to the product and to the customer, right? So something that I've noticed between the brands we study is that they know how to talk to their customer the best. And if they're the premium product or like the best product that solves the problem, they know everything to the customers. They know their hobbies. They know what they do on Thursday nights, what they do on Friday nights. They knew what, like, what activities they like to do. And they obviously like know the lingo and the copy on how to speak to them. So I think the biggest thing is like definitely they know more about the customer than they know about themselves. Like that would be the first thing, right? So we took that upon ourselves as well to implement that inside the brand. And then I guess the second thing is that they're solving like a big problem. I feel like sometimes I'll say like problem solving products, but people are trying to like sell like nail clippers or just like a very small problem that doesn't like people aren't like devastated with the problem, right? You need something like really that annoys people or like a big insecurity that you're solving. So like when they see the product, they're like, oh, this is a solution I've been looking for my entire life. Like that's the feeling they need to feel, right?
Right.
Yeah, those are probably the two biggest ones.
That's huge. I mean, I think you're right. Like, people don't spend a lot of time thinking about who the customer is. And I think from the people I've met too, like, even some of the richest people, like billionaires, for example, like, they understand exactly who their customer is, their target demographic is, like, down to the age, like, everything, interest, everything. So that would be valuable for people to focus more on. So, in your view, then, um, do you need to build a community with your store, or do you just need to refresh your ads, or what's like the key to longevity in your view? Because you guys have scaled to like pretty insane numbers consistently. So what do you think is one of those keys for longevity?
Yeah, like I would go back to my first point because if you know your customer, then you know exactly the problem that you're solving. And you can also now make additional products to solve similar problems, right? So, like going back to the hair loss, if someone has hair loss, they're also might just be into facial creams and they might be into other things. So, you can expand your product line and sell to that same customer different products similar to like in a fashion way where like if someone purchased one piece of clothing they kind of want all the pieces of clothing. Same thing with problem solving products. It's like if you solve that solution really well they're like, what else do I need? And then that's where you give them more stuff, right? So we solved that initial problem and then we noticed, hey, they also want this and they also want this on the side and they're buying it from a competitor down the street, and we're like, why don't we just offer it? And we started offering these products. We started expanding the product line, and that helped a lot for returning customer rates, and also just for selling more products. So
Mm,
that'll for the longevity as well.
yeah, that's key. Like the average order value for the first time customer, but then like the lifetime customer value, just selling them more and more stuff. That's where the real profits get made. So I'm curious
Mhm.
now, what is your favorite channel for growth?
For growth, I would say all of them, you know, but I would say I feel like now I definitely have a different mindset on growth.
Mm,
I would say distribution over paid media any day because like it just like it's a bigger lever to pull, right? So like and by what I mean by distribution is like having different channels. So like if you're running ads and they're seeing your ads and then you only have an online store, it's awesome. Like it's cool. They're probably going to most likely go to your online store. But if you have more distribution, if you have an online store, an Amazon, a Walmart, maybe you have your shop on Sezzle, maybe you have your shop on Instagram shop, Facebook shop, you have more distribution, more places where they can shop. That ad converts better because if they don't want to shop from Amazon, they'll go to the online store. But if they don't want to shop from online store, they're going to go somewhere else. So it's like it's just a bigger lever to pull, right? So instead of selling, I feel like instead of scaling the online or the paid media side, we would scale the distribution side first, and then scale the paid media alongside to that.
That's so interesting, man. Because yeah, then you're kind of by doing that, you're making the paid media more effective before you actually scale it. And I think in dropshipping, bro, like a lot of people view Amazon like completely different than what you just said. Like they're like scared of Amazon. They don't even want to say the name. It's like Voldemort in like Harry Potter. But in reality, like you probably should just use it, bro. You should just use Amazon as a sales channel.
It's just a site. Yeah, that's all it is. TikTok Shop as well. It's they're great sales channel to have additional to your online store, and the more the better. The more the better. If you look at the biggest brands, they have wholesale, they got retail, they got B2B. We're looking at these big brands, but they're getting more bang for the buck. Every time they spend $1 on ads, it's like they'll see it on their online store. Maybe they won't convert, but they'll walk into a Walgreens or they'll walk into a Walmart and they'll be like, let me just buy it. I saw this on an ad. And like that converts a lot better, right? Like you have more touches on that customer.
Damn, that's so interesting, man. That's like a total. I mean, that kind of blows my mind mainly because I see people at the highest level thinking like that, but at like the mid tier to low levels, like that's not at all how people approach it. That's
Yeah.
just
But
wild.
you gotta it's a different mindset, and it's definitely more into the branding side of things, and we could definitely talk more about drop shipping, which I totally love. But I always got into drop shipping knowing I was going to build a brand one day, right? And it's the easiest way to get into building a brand. But if you want to play with the big dogs, you got to turn on the branding, toggle, and you got to be like, all right, cool. How do I change the mindset to LTV and distribution and getting more bang for the buck, because that's where the real money is made. And
Hmm.
I definitely want to teach people, and I definitely want to tell people the truth, because it's like this is where the millions are made. Like you could definitely get away with drop shipping, but when you start branding, that's when you full throttle and excel.
I love that way of putting it. Like definition of drop shipping, an easy way to get into building a brand. That is exactly how people should think of it.
100%.
Okay, so let me ask you this then, because it sounds like you've learned so much, and obviously you have from this journey of success. But I'm curious about the future. What is the future for you? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep building brands? Do you want to invest in brands? I know you share your knowledge with the community. You have your ecom community, so that's amazing. What do you want to do in the future?
And man, I am so grateful I fell in love with e-commerce at a very young age. I want to continue doing e-commerce for as long as I can. That is the most that's the most truthful I can be, because like I got lucky. I'm well aware that I got really lucky, because the moment I started flipping shoes on eBay, I was like, fuck. And I'm sorry for cursing.
Oh, you're fine.
I love. I was like, I love this. I was like, I love this. I love the fact that someone could just buy something online and I could ship it to them, and then I could just make money on the spread. Like, this is so cool. And then I heard about drop shipping and e-commerce. I was like, there's a bigger game. So, yeah, definitely continue building the brand. Right now, we're on the way to 9 figures actually. So continue building that, and then acquire brands. Acquire more brands on the portfolio.
Crazy, crazy. On the way to 9 figures. That's so amazing. How do you guys, out of curiosity, how do you guys stay on like the cutting edge, on the latest trends, for example, and how does that actually impact growth, or does it not even matter?
No, it does, 100%. Yeah, staying on top is huge, and then really just expert led. Get the people that are on top of trends, that are on TikTok all day, every day, that live and breathe TikTok and content. Not just TikTok. I say TikTok because it's just a faster platform. Just being transparent. It's faster than Instagram and Facebook. Like, but if you get those people, they'll lead the team. you know? So as we breathe e-commerce, they breathe content,
Mm.
and that's all you need. You just gotta get them on the team.
So content, I mean, content trends is probably one of the most powerful thing because yeah, it's like the ultimate leverage. Are you guys really focused on that? How like do you have a bunch of creators basically then?
Yeah, yeah. I like to describe it as just two, like an input and output method, where it's like we have a pool of inbound content, where that we have UGC creators, we have influencers, we have content creators, we have just a bunch of inbound, and then we have content creators that actually piece the pieces together and make ads. And then right now we're making anywhere from like 15 to 20 ads a day, unique ads.
A day.
Correct.
And you're posting those like you're testing those as ads or they're being just posted?
Both. They're posted on TikTok and Instagram, but they're all getting launched as ads.
That's so cool, man. Like no wonder, you're seeing so much success. Like that's going to be very hard to beat when, your average Joe is just launching like one ad a month and hoping for the
Yeah,
best.
you need volume. And I used to like I remember one time I told someone, I was like, "Hey, you need volume." And then he goes, "Why?" And I was like, "Fuck, I don't have an answer for you." But then I figured it out. So you need volume because it puts you in this feedback loop where
Mm-hmm.
like you see what works very quickly. And like the moment we launch 10 or 15 videos, or sometimes even like 20 when we're doing like sales a day, we can see, hey, these creative concepts work way better than these. Let's double down on these. And by the time we double down, it's by the end of the week. So like we've already like 10 steps ahead of everyone, you know? So
Yeah.
like it just puts you in this loop, this constant loop of just iterating and just getting better every single day.
That makes sense. Just like a really quick feedback loop. So, are you posting these all on the same page, or is this collectively, like, between influencers, like you said, UGC creators, like maybe affiliate creators, and then your main brand page?
Yeah, so on the inbound side, they're just posting them either um, on the influencer pages, the content creator pages. Sometimes we'll use Billo, all these. They're posting it on themselves,
Mm,
and then on the actual brand page, we're posting them on like the brand. So yeah, like we're posting them all every single day.
crazy. That's such a big amount of content to be posting, but it makes sense, man. And it sounds like it's not just quantity, but it's also quality. So you're doing quality and quantity.
hmm Yeah, but you get quality from quantity.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't get quality if you don't have the volume, if you don't have the feedback loop. So it's like the only way to do that is just bump up the scale, and it hurts in the beginning because it's like expensive, to get someone to make 10 videos, 15 videos a day. Like that's not cheap. But you need that so you can put yourself in that feedback loop, and you're like, oh wow, this works really well, you
Mm.
know.
So would you say then like what is an actionable step for someone that's just starting that doesn't have that money? Would it be just to create that feedback loop themselves? Like I mean everybody has a phone.
Yeah, no, 100%. We created the feedback loops ourselves. So Margarita and I, my business partner, which she's the real brains behind the operation. I'm just a pretty face. But she she went ahead and started making like 5, 6 TikToks a day, and then we saw like massive increase in performance. And then one day we were just like, you know what? What if we just take the next month to do 10 TikToks a day? And that's what we did. So we did that until we could find someone to replace us, and that's how we created that feedback loop. And
Mm.
now every single content creator that we have must make 10 TikToks per day.
Wow. That's your standard. But that's so powerful, man. Let me ask you this then, when you began to do that, had you tested that like how did you commit to that product? Did you test it first or were you just like fuck it, like this is a winner. I know, let's just start making content cuz it's free.
So I'll be transparent as possible. So I actually did not like the product. My business partner Margarita found the product, and she's like, "Hey, we should test this." I'm like, "We'll skip over it." It was like product 189.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we tested it, and immediately it just caught on fire, on a general store.
With
and we
ads,
were,
or was it content?
yeah, with ads,
Oh, okay.
and we were initially, to be transparent, we were stealing content. We were literally ripping people's content from influencers, everything like, and I share my story because that's the truth, like I don't want to deceive anyone. Anyways,
Love
so
that.
we were stealing content, we were using that content from other brands and whatever, and we were posting it on our general store, and it just lit on fire. So we did our first 500,000 month on a general store,
Mm.
and then what happened is everyone started catching on that we were, using everyone's content, and our domain on TikTok actually got blacklisted. So what that means is like anytime we ran that domain, the ad account would go down.
Mm.
And we were like, oh, we are toasted. We don't know what to do. So that's when we were like, you know what? We've never done a one product store. We've never, move a product from a general store to a brand. Let's do it. I feel like we have the experience, we have the confidence, we have a little bit more resources now. Let's do it. So that's when we took the product, we built an entire store around that product, and that's what became the brand that is today. But then that brand started with fresh, new content, and we've never stolen a piece of content for that brand.
Wow. I love you for sharing that because it's really relatable. Like it literally, I think everybody that's ever tested a product has probably taken content for testing purposes at one point or another. Obviously, it's not ethical, but when you're struggling, like you got to do what you got to do, like to test. You got to move fast, like you're saying.
Yeah. And I tell everyone, it's like if you have limited resources, you try to maximize those limited resources. Like you're not going to spend money on content if you don't even know if the product works. you know it was just like one specific video that was just blowing up, and we used it, and the influencer got so pissed, and then that's when the domain got listed. But like we just got to do what we got to do and make some money. But then after, it's like, all right, let's go legit. Let's get our own content. Why not recreate the viral content that already worked for the general store under the branded store?
Right. Like theoretically, that should work better, and it did. So that's incredible, dude. That's such a cool story. So I'm wondering now because this is one of the my favorite things about dropshipping is like this scrappiness that it gives you, especially when you learn about ecom brands like Allbirds or other like venture backed brands that just like
Mhm.
don't know how to be profitable and they end up like crashing and burning. So I love that scrappiness. Do you have plans in the future? Like you said, you want to acquire brands. Are you still gonna keep testing products, or are you just probably at this point gonna just focus on this and acquire stuff later?
We'll see, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of products that we come across and even just get offered to us, being in the position we're in to test and to launch. But we'll see what happens. I don't think we'll have the biggest lever testing products,
Mm,
but maybe products that are already patented, inventor-led products, founders that have products that they've struggled with that problem and they made it themselves. Like those are the type of products we want to go ahead and like brand and acquire, and then end up scaling. But maybe not like maybe not testing products. No.
yeah, no, that makes so much sense. Like what you just said, if you like basically products with a barrier to entry, right? Like products that not just like a your average drop shipper could go ahead and test.
And yeah, those are my favorite products. Anything with a patent or like some type of moat, like literally, like you said, like a barrier to entry. I love those products. Anything hard to source, even in the drop shipping world, where like a drop shipper would just, I don't want to find a supplier. I don't want to find like a, a manufacturer over here. I want to take that on
Right.
because I can, and I know it'll be a lot easier to scale, because of that moat and of that barrier to entry.
True. And then you mentioned that back then your TikTok ad account got banned on the general store. So you were launching this with TikTok ads, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And would you still do that today? Let's say for somebody that's about to test a product, would you still do that right now?
100%. Yeah, because it gives you like TikTok gives you this feedback loop that Facebook and Instagram just cannot compete with.
Hmm.
Content on TikTok is still like just leading everything else. Like, and you'll see this because TikTok viral content, and then 2 weeks later, you'll see the same trend on Instagram and Facebook. So it's like it first happens on TikTok, and I always tell everyone to start on TikTok and then get into Facebook, and like just take the best TikToks that work and move it to Facebook. You know?
So true, so true. I find that that's the best content on Facebook every single time almost. Like the CPMs and link clicks are insanely cheap compared to anything else that people run on Meta.
Yeah, 100%. We don't make dedicated Facebook ads, by the way. Yeah,
It's
so we
all
just
TikTok.
they're all TikToks.
Wow. How many are you guys testing on Meta then? Is it just kind
That
of the
same
same amount?
volume. Yeah, we just move everything.
Cool. Do you guys repost to Instagram Reels?
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. And like we'll notice whenever like a TikTok gets some views, maybe like over 10K, 15K, it'll just do 10 times better on Instagram Reels. Like, oh, we got another 500,000 or 1 million view video on Reels.
That's crazy. Like from the same content, man. That's what I'm saying. Like this is the such a crazy opportunity right now for ecom. Like all the people that have been saying for the past 5 years, like ecom's dead, ecom's dead. Like, bro, it's never been better. It almost feels like.
You're right, it has never been better, but the game has changed to content.
Yeah.
So the people that are going to take over dropshipping and e-commerce and ride that wave and excel are the people that are really good in content, either content creation or just understand content, right? A lot of people don't understand concepts and winning angles and all that things. And I feel like if you can learn about content, take some courses on content, boom, it'll just 10x your dropshipping game.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, content is like the ultimate skill right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, what is just out of curiosity, I know people love to ask this, but what does a day in the life of Leo look like? Like, what's your daily routine like?
Yeah, so it's very simple. I don't have a morning routine. I know that's a shocker.
Whoa.
I just wake up, I eat some yogurt, some protein, and I get to work. I have few meetings, and really right now, the biggest hat that I wear is creative strategist, which is just like leading the creative team, and that's basically it. Like anything overseeing like big projects, any new product launches that we're doing, any type of meetings, any type of financing. We're working with a financing team right now to get more money to scale. Like any type of those big operations, I'm on there. And gym and get some sleep, and that's it.
Wow. So that sounds like you have a lot of free time then. Like, you're not necessarily following this mantra of like crazy like 14-hour days, right? But did you at one point do that and then transition into this, or have you always been like
Yeah.
this?
So I will say this, like I did have those grind days, but if I look back and I can literally visualize myself, I would stare at the ad account for 3 hours. And that just wouldn't change anything. Like I wish I could go back and just like slap myself in the face and be like, just look at the content, or like or
Right.
go do something else. So that's what we try to teach too. It's like there's just bigger levers to play,
Yeah.
you know and yeah, I guess, yeah, you can call it hustle and grinding, but looking at the ad account, hoping the CPC would change, the CPM, all that, like, that's not gonna matter.
No, I feel you. One of my friends calls it like refreshing your email. Like you're basically just sitting there refreshing your email all day instead of actually getting any work done, but it feels like you're grinding, but you're like doing kind of mindless stuff that's not really moving the needle at all.
Yeah, and I honestly though, also looking back, I didn't know what the next step was.
Right.
you know like I didn't know until I like started investing into coaches and mentors and stuff like that. Like I just simply didn't know what to do. So definitely get someone to coach you up.
Yeah.
Definitely get someone to teach you.
Yeah, give you
Yeah.
some sort of blueprint. That's smart. I mean, it cuts your time in half, like in terms of like when you'll actually break through, right? Because you'll get a blueprint.
100%. 100%.
That's cool. So when it comes to discipline, because it sounds like you're very disciplined, like you go to the gym basically every day, you're getting work done every day. Were you always like that, or was it because like you love what you're doing now?
I've shifted. My discipline is still growing every single day. I'm not perfect. I still eat junk food. I still mess up a lot. I still sometimes I don't, even if I get work done, I don't even feel like I got work done. I just kind of looked at the screen. So it's still growing, and yeah, it's growing ever since I became an entrepreneur. I'm still just getting better every single day. I'm not perfect, but I'm definitely a lot better than I was 6 years ago.
That's amazing. I mean, that's all you can really hope for is that you'll continuously get better like every single day.
Yeah, that's it, really. Just like 1% better. Do the things, just don't do the things you did last year, and that's all it is. Like if this year looks exactly like last year, you're probably doing something wrong. You know.
Right. I'm curious about this because being an entrepreneur these days, especially once you're kind of on your like fifth, sixth year and you're starting to see some success. I catch myself doing this all the time. Like, how do you stay focused? Like, do you look at crypto? Do you look at like, real estate? Like all these people I feel like are trying to tug you in different directions. Are you good at focus or are you kind of doing a little bit of everything?
I feel like that's the only thing I'm really good at. I will say that I am really good at focus. I don't listen to the noise, and it's this one thing. I love this one thing. It was Alex Hormozy. He was talking with, I forgot his name, but he was like super into like credit, or he's like a really like not stingy guy, but he's really like,
Oh,
I don't
Graham
know.
Stephan, maybe?
It wasn't Graham Stephan. He was talking to
Oh,
someone that's like huge in the space, and he was like, "What's your mental map?" It's like, "What do you know about?" Like, and like Alex Hormozy was like, I know how to sell. I know how to build businesses and sell businesses. He's like, "Okay, cool. If that's 80% of your brain, then you should do 80% that every single day." And like I took that and I applied it to my life, and I'm like, dude, if I'm going and I know everything about e-commerce and scaling brands, but I'm spending 50% of my time awake looking at crypto, then that's not going to give me the return. That's not going to give me the return that I want.
mm,
So I was trying to focus on like everything that I know, and then just going deeper and deeper every single year.
that's really great advice. I mean, that you're lucky that the one thing you're good at is focus, man. Because these days, that's literally a superpower. I feel like.
100%. But all these distractions, and they're only going to get worse. The more money an entrepreneur makes, the distractions are going to get bigger. The requests are going to get bigger. The things are going to get bigger. It's like, dude, like you have to get better at focus.
Right.
Yeah.
That's such good advice. What is it like for you, now posting stuff online yourself, kind of being that person? Because you said you did, and like along the way, invest in mentors. You probably followed people. Like, how does it feel now to kind of lead the herd a little bit?
I think it's cool. I love it. I love giving back to the community, and I love giving back to my younger self. I feel like I do it mostly for my younger self. I would love to say that I'm just a gift giver and such a amazing person. I love to give back, but I truly do it for the Leo that just didn't have the resources and didn't have the guide, and the clear direction on how to succeed with e-commerce. Like that's truly the voice I speak to. And there's a lot of people like me. There's a lot of people that want to be stupid rich.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that's everyone's desire deep down, but not everybody's gonna be able to get there. But everybody could. The resources are out there, right?
100%. I never say like you should do this, you should do that. I'm like, dude, this is what I did, and if it works, that's cool, and if it doesn't, that's also cool. Like, you know, that's it.
Right. What about travel? I know you like to travel a decent bit. How does being an e-com entrepreneur like blend with travel? Like, is it pretty convenient, or at least with drop shipping? Do you guys have?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. How
yeah,
is
it's
it?
it's a blessing. being able to travel, go anywhere with like an e-commerce business is probably the biggest thing you could work for it, because it's like you could do it anywhere. Now, is it distracting? Absolutely.
Hmm.
Like, I was just recently in Dubai, and then I was in China. Um, it's hard, to run a business and lead the team, and be there present every single day, but you do it and you get to do it. And I wake up with a smile on my face, and I still do it regardless.
Right. What about the team? How do you build your teams, or like how do you hire? What do you look for?
Really. So my biggest inbound pool is my Instagram audience, and
Mm,
then Margarita's Instagram audience as well, which is my business partner. So we recruit majority of our team from our audience, and it's just because they already share the core values. They already share, that spirit of growth,
mm.
and we're just like, you know what, come join us. Like, let's grow together, right?
I love that. I think that's one of the most undervalued things about building a personal brand that nobody really talks about. Everybody talks about like, oh, well, yeah, you can sell things to people, but to me, because I'm the same way, my whole entire team is all people that followed me, and it's so powerful the talent pool that you get by doing that, man. People don't talk about it enough.
It's huge, and they already respect you. That's the biggest thing. It's really hard to earn respect, especially when someone's like, we're strangers. You
Yeah.
don't know how hard I work. You're not following up my journey or anything. And if you have, then they already respect you. It's the communication is clear. It's like, oh, I kind of want you to try this. It was like, oh yeah, I kind of figured. Let's do it together. It's different. It's
Right.
way different.
That's a great point, man. I actually never even thought about it like that. But that's so true. Like they already have that respect, so they're more likely to have like that a good like I mean, I don't want to say like boss employee relationship, but just like a good team hierarchy, really.
100%. 100%. The expectations are clear. You see me showing up every single day, I expect you to do the same. That's it. You know,
Right. How many team members do you guys have now?
we're pretty lean. We're like 12 right now. Yeah, I'm looking at Slack right now. It's like 12.
That's crazy. So 12 people. I know you guys have done like 3 million months basically. So 12 people to do 3 mil a month.
Yeah, right now we're not doing 3 million a month. We're doing a million. It's quite humbling.
Yeah. That's funny, bro. I bet young Leo would have never ever thought that he would say, "Oh, just 1 million a month." Pretty humbling. That's
Well,
crazy.
like the goalpost has been moved every single time. So it's like we just got to keep going. That's
Yeah,
it. I'm just enjoying it. There's gonna be five. There's gonna be $10 million months, but I'm just enjoying it now. That's all it is.
for real. I love that. So you do you live in Miami?
I live in Tampa,
Oh,
Tampa,
Tampa.
Florida.
Okay, okay. Have you
Yeah,
always lived there?
yeah, yeah, yeah. We moved like 15 years ago.
Cool.
Yeah, from New York. So my parents were original. I was born in New York, and then I was brought up in New York. But then, like at an early age, I moved here to Florida, and I went to middle school, high school, everything here.
That's amazing. Have you met a lot of people there, like entrepreneurs? Have you built your network there?
Yeah, yeah. I would say it's pretty interesting here. I love the community. I love Tampa. I love Tampa entrepreneurs. I go to a lot of events, and it's really cool, to be honest.
My
I
parents
like
moved to
Miami too.
Tampa.
Really?
Yeah, they moved to Tampa like 2 years ago. I'm from Minnesota, so I live in Minneapolis. Well, that's where I moved here from Chile actually with my parents like a long time, like when I was 11, and then
Oh,
they moved uh, to Tampa as well just to escape the cold. It gets so cold over here.
yeah. No, that's cool. Wait, so where are you now? Like, where you living?
Minnesota.
In
Um,
Minnesota. Okay.
so
But where?
it gets cold. Minneapolis, it's like the capital. Well, there's the Twin Cities here. It's St. Paul and Minneapolis, but Minneapolis is like the biggest city.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it's cold.
Yeah, it's cold, but I don't know. There's something about it, bro, that I like it. I must be a little crazy, but something about it is kind of, you just really lock in during the winter, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I love that aspect of blocking in.
Me
Yeah.
too. But I think I'll probably end up going to Tampa, moving there at some point. I mean, my parents live there, so I want to be close to them.
Well, let me know when you're down here. We'll definitely connect.
Will do. All right, man. Well, I think we covered basically everything. We should do this again if you're up to it someday. Like that's kind of my vision is I don't know if you've seen like Joe Rogan podcast where he kind of have guests coming back multiple times and I would love that, man, because I would love to see like kind of where you're at in a year from now, stuff like that. So if you're open to it, I would love to do this again.
Yeah, of course. I'm honored to be here, and I really appreciate your time, Pearl.
You too, man. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up right here. Where do you, I mean, I'm going to put all your info in the description, but I guess, is there any last words or anywhere you want people to go?
Yeah, just Instagram, really,
Instagram.
TikTok. That's basically where I live. I live on the socials.
Yeah, that's the grind. Me too.
Yeah. All right, bet.
All right.
Well, yeah, that's it.
All right. Have a good one, man. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, bro. All right,
Of
bye.
course. Bye bye.